Okay, well, I want to welcome everyone to number three of Coffee Talk, and I do want to do just a little house cleaning first for 2 seconds. Uh, the website is active. We do have an RSS feed. We are on iTunes. If you search for
Oh, we
Coffee
are?
Talk, we are on
Oh,
iTunes. I've
nice.
taken care
Good.
of everything, so you could search for Coffee Talk. Actually, you might have to do Coffee Talk Moors or Coffee Talk Noogie. I think there's actually a really nice podcast about actual coffee up there, so that might come up first, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
If you do it under game, if you search under gaming, for sure it would show up. And so you can subscribe, do whatever you want. We're in all the places, and obviously, if anyone has suggestions for, you know, other things like iTunes, people had mentioned a few. I guess let us know whatever the two or three most popular ones are. We can add it very easily at this point to that. So
Yeah, of course.
okay, good. Well, so I have been thinking about it a lot, and I know you have been uh, doing it a lot, so to speak. Is the push to 100
The push to 100.
seems the
Ooh,
push to 100, and so I want
the
to hear
favorite one.
what your thoughts are, because it's funny how you and I haven't really talked all that much. Maybe an hour over the past week because we've both
Yeah,
been
that's
just
pretty much in. Well,
right.
it's tough when we're not on the same continent. Like we can't
Yeah,
really play together anymore with lockstep.
no, no, oh, no,
So
exactly. And it's amazing. You it gets rammed home even when you just trade with somebody. I go and I'm
yeah,
like,
you
oh, I'm
feel
in
it
Singapore.
immediately.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I imagine playing like this all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, 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 yeah. So how has it been going for you?
For me, it's been
Yeah,
going well. It's been a roller coaster ride. First, I didn't think my build would work properly, and then it worked okay, and it's lagging and it's not. But it's been going pretty well. Closing in on 97. It's my first ever character that I'm trying to get 100. So that's definitely very interesting.
nice.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on? Because it was interesting, it sort of came up organically a couple of times. What are your thoughts on some of the? I guess the word people use is chase. But I don't know if
Chase.
that's the right,
Mm-hmm.
like a chase unique or chase, achievement or chase something. It seems like in the past it was a real chase, whatever, something to get a six link now. And now it seems like, oh, six link is your third day or fourth day goal, like goal for
Yeah.
everybody
Okay. So
almost.
so how does it feel in terms of like itemizing throughout the push or whatever? This is
Yeah,
kind of what we're
or
thinking
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's still like having done it so many times and I've almost pretty much always active throughout the first like week at least where there's a
Right,
push going on.
right.
I've consistently done that through most of the leagues, and it comes and goes. Normally, I would say you make a build around not needing a six link, and it's just nice when you get it. Obviously, um, it's still a really nice thing to get. It's not like it's easy to get. If that's what you're hinting at, I really don't think it is. There's still it's still like 1 in 1,000 or whatever it is,
Right,
like probably
right.
even higher.
Yeah,
Um, and so it's something you get really happy about every time that you hit, especially early on, because it's such a power boost. So with the chase items, I don't know. I feel like they're definitely still in place.
right,
They're less
right.
required though,
Okay. Well,
is
then,
what I would
how do you
say.
think? How do you think of the sort of alternate paths affect it? Because like me, I I don't even know what build I would make that wouldn't plan on a skin of the loyal from Chayula Breaches or Chayula herself.
Aha, so we're okay.
Because to me, I mean, you really have to hit a home run, and I guess maybe a lot. Unfortunately, pure life based armor character.
Hmm.
I guess there is a scenario where a 2,000 armor or 2,000 evasion chess piece is better.
Yeah.
But it just feels like skin's going to solve all the things, and assuming you're again a unfortunately non melee skill where the level of the gems actually do matter for spells and all this other stuff, then the skin seems like such a good solution. Again, assuming you get the colors, and I understand it's
talking for what specific? Like, are we talking live builds or just like overall? Or
well, I just think just overall as sort of the
I think
it's like
I think that chest particular like that it's kind of a niche thing.
Okay.
At least it fits a lot of caster builds, but it's not like the go-to.
Right. Okay. But then the go-to for the other thing is the astral, which you can get through the cards. Mm-hmm. Right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So I guess for a lot of life builds, the divination card is definitely easy to obtain. Like the 6 link, if you want to, there's a lot of ways in which you can obtain that specific thing. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm just curious what your
okay. So like let's look back at what was the push in the past, where basically all we had were, well, not all we had. There was like a few ticket items that people would chase, being a lightning coil or maybe a belly or something. Like there's a unique item, and you would try and 6 link that, and there was such a huge variance of who got it, and it had such a huge impact on the race itself. So now with all these different tools and different items that you can acquire, cards, and there's so many other, like you can go a little bit off the cuff, a little bit off the meta with maybe your armor, but then you can get like the 6 link astral, or you can get something else that's really powerful that you can use in your own variation of a build, putting you on the curve with everyone else. So there's not this like power spike between all the players. I think that's a good thing.
I definitely agree on that. I think it's better in terms of, this one person got this one item and now they're going 50% faster. I mean, that's why they curbed the I can't remember, was it Parandus Signet, the ring, and then there were a couple of those uniques that gave you more XP.
Mm-hmm.
They curbed one of them. One was the real offender. I don't remember. It was a helm maybe or something. I don't remember what the hell.
No, Supreme Truth. The scepter?
Maybe it was the scepter then.
And people would dual wield them.
Okay, yeah.
That's what people used to do in terms of getting XP. Then there was also a helmet that was really greedy though, and if you got really greedy, then you went for both of the rings as well. there were leech builds around back then. I remember that would have 20% extra XP gain, and they would just be sort of like 50% of their original power. Right.
But it's interesting. I think that there was a period where I was really worried about it, and I think the balance I think the balance has been done well. I'm just nervous for some of this being a little bit of the new normal, especially the Legacy League. I guess we really just have to wait and see in terms of how the League Stones and how Zana and all this stuff works out. Because like I personally think that the skin isn't overpowered, because it does have a bunch of drawbacks to it. And I really don't want to go back to fusing things, because I've never really enjoyed it all that much, or fusing lotteries or anything like that. It seems like those have gone away based on
because they're not necessary anymore. Like the big chase for the links can be done in different ways. So if you're unlucky in one area, there's a way to overcome that. Right. And I think that's a good thing with PoE, that if something doesn't work out, you have a different path to overcome like the problem you're facing. Right. I think that's good.
No, I think it's great.
I think they've done really well. Yeah. In terms of balancing that.
Right. From my personal experience, this league, my map returns were sort of bad, but I had insane drop luck and like fuse luck and alp luck. So I just had to buy maps, which I don't like doing anyway, but it's tough to complain when you've gotten 100x of gear or something falling from the sky. So so it's interesting as we're talking about the chase thing. It makes me think of the Reliquary. And so when we last talked, they existed, but there was all this discussion about it.
We didn't really have enough. There hadn't been enough found to really talk too much about them. Like there wasn't really. Like,
so what are your thoughts on them then? Like, what do you think so far? Just before I say mine.
Okay, so the Reliquary thing itself, I think it's interesting. It's fun. It's nice. Every time you find one of them, you're kind of excited. So that's a good thing. What do I think about the Reliquary itself, though? I think it's odd. Like, one thing I find odd is kind of some of the items. Like, we don't know whether or not we found all of them yet. Is one thing.
Right.
So I feel like it's kind of odd that we see something like Vinktars, but we don't see Calms. I feel that Vinktars should be even rarer than a Calms. Maybe not. The allure of the Calm's heart with the 1,000 life, like the fabled 1,000 life Calm, is something that should be one of the biggest chase items in the game. I feel it does that well, and we have seen one, right? There was one item, one drop, apparently. Right. It being that rare, I think that's probably a good thing. Also, to keep the it would be a bad thing to overflood the old market or the old to like kind of like dilute the old pool of chests.
Okay.
So I think it's good that it's very rare. I don't know if there's anything else we haven't seen that might be rare. I would doubt it, but I don't know. Right. What do you think?
Well, of course, now that we're talking about it, and I had something. There is an item that I don't think is legacy. Oh, it's a one is consuming dark, maybe, or infernal mantle.
Okay, so yeah,
they don't have the legacy version, which that I found.
What they do, they do. Okay, let me. Okay, so it's kind of odd, but well, it's not odd. It's the thing is,
version? Okay,
the legacy version of the what's that dagger called again? Consuming dark.
Right.
All of the daggers were changed into 45 across the board, even the legacy ones, right? So when they changed the consuming dark, they did it retroactively, right? That's how I would say it. Yeah. They did that, and so they're all 45. But the new ones you get now are 30, right? In the new league,
right.
So you can still. So the foil ones are 45, because they were all changed across the board to be retroactive as well. Then they don't go all the way to 6. It's the same thing with Voltaxic. All the legacy versions there's never been created a legacy version of Voltaxic. So if there hasn't been created a version that is legacy, then it won't drop in its best state that it was ever in.
Right, because the legacy mod that does not spawn anymore is now 45.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It was 60. It was 60 before?
60, yes, 60.
Okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't even exist anywhere.
Right. Yeah, so I thought there was one more that there. Well, I mean, and I was consumed with combs. I was really surprised that. But if it is that rare, I think okay, all right. I do think
it's reminiscent of kind of beta and early stages of PoE in terms of rarity, isn't it?
There, I don't think well, I think one person had a combs, as I recall, because it was a glorious plate, which was 68, and the highest maps were 69, and you could not maintain anything above maybe 64, 65.
Yeah, it's true.
So they changed. So like maybe I saw one, I think my entire time when maps went from 60 to 69. So yeah, I mean, it does seem like it's that level. Same with Moroi. Moroi was super rare back then. So I think it's the same. If they're kind of bringing that feeling back, I think I like that. That's cool.
At least that's it's a way of. I think it's a way of having the real chase items in, like the foil. At least with the foil and the reliquary, it's to have the item or a slightly better version of it without it being impossible to obtain the current version of it.
Right.
Where before people would like to get the Calm's Heart, but they couldn't get it, and it fell. A lot of people were. I think that turned off a lot of players since they couldn't even get the lesser version. But now you have the lesser version and the foil version. Yeah.
Right.
Which is you kind of what's the word? you're catering to both parties here.
And I guess my question would be, do we think that it's going to continue forward? Because not every unique in the game you can get a foil version right now, right? I actually haven't.
I don't believe so.
Right. Like, I know that I want a foil of my unique, but I don't think my unique is on the table. It's the ones we've all seen. So I'm curious if they're going to have almost a season going. Every league from now on, there'll be 10 or 15 foils, and maybe obviously popular ones returning, or ultra rare ones returning. I hope so, because I like the system if it's really this rare. If the
I do too. Yes, if they really honor the rarity of past uniques, then I think it's okay. I was really worried with the counterparts, particularly that there would be too many available, but right now it doesn't seem like it is, and so it keeps the kind of the I don't know, the feeling of the item. Yeah. Maintains that, which is important.
Right. And so unfortunately, I guess with I don't know, I'm sure you read the story or saw the thing that the guy who found the foil combs in Legacy put it up for 100 chaos.
Yes.
Right? It was 100 chaos? Okay.
That's 100 chaos. He sold it for 5 exalts. And at that point, well, let's at least he got 5 exalts, which is 50 chaos on standard. It was on standard Legacy, right?
Yes.
Yes, so he did get 2.5 times the amount he put it up for. So someone was kind of nice to him.
Okay.
They didn't just take it for 100. So that's, at least we have that. So there is some, we can have faith in the PoE community. There are nice people out there.
Right.
Of course, the item. Of course, you could say that he should have told him that it was worth of hundreds of exalts, but
infinity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, have these things sold? I know somebody whispered me a 976 Legacy Facebreakers.
Have they sold? Yes.
Okay. So these things are selling, because I haven't paid attention.
Yes.
I'm not looking for. Okay.
I was offered a Legacy Reach for 800 chaos.
Okay.
I was almost about to buy it, but I had just bought a Headhunter and a Pale Skyforth, and I was trying to get my CI gear. So that is still a little bit away, but I am interested in buying some of the Legacy stuff for sure. Taste of Hate and Reach are my chase items this league, for instance.
Nice. Yeah, I want to get a Legacy. I think Aegis.
Yes,
with the Headhunter and do something nuts with it.
Oh, you got a Headhunter, right?
I did. I Headhunter drop, so that's as I've said, I've complained because I have yet not gotten a tier 1 drop. I think in my entire history of doing these leagues, and then all of that luck the bad luck got condensed into 1 drop. So
luckily, I would say we aren't seeing an abundance of Headhunters.
No, I got it, and I was like, "Holy shit, is this the miracle?"
Yes.
And then there were 4 for sale, and I said, "Oh God." Cue the rage when it's worth 5x. But no, even so, it's cool to find it, just because.
Oh yeah, I think the rarity is still. It's like I would assume that the rarity is like finding a Calms in the old
when
days.
Calms was rare.
Yes,
and that's all. It's all I was looking for, was to have that moment. So yeah, but so okay. So to sort of continue on that, the thing with the guy, he lists it for 100 chaos. I didn't know that someone bought it for 250. If that was the story.
Well, it's 5x, so it's 250.
Oh, so he listed for 100, and then X is 50 in Legacy. Okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's I want to say, I think all too often people focus on Reddit where there's a negative post and people go nuts and remember that. I firmly believe that 98, 99% of people are fundamentally a good person. That said, I don't expect someone to be like, "Oh, this is worth 50 chaos. Let me pay you 60 for it," which some people think if you don't do that, you're a bad person. But I also think that there are people who want to be helpful. But on the other side of it, I sort of wonder, and we've seen it with the recent posts about the indices and how people can have their own indexer and all these things. You know, I really hope that 3.0 brings something, because I think that if GGG had a little bit more of an automated process, whatever it is. Now I don't want people to go nuts in terms of, you know, an actual auction house like D3 or something like World of Warcraft or what. I'm not concerned with that. I just wish there was something where it was all localized with GGG, you know, in terms of, instead of there being PoE Trade, which handles all of the stuff, GGG does something, and then people can build a program to scan, you know, like, so right now I'd have to, you know, get one of these things or build my own thing, and I could then scrape and whisper somebody before everyone else can through PoE Trade, because we rely on that. If GGG would take that away, and then also then help out new players, for instance, when you put combs in the thing, it'll show you, say, the bottom 4 listed.
Well, it had never been listed before, though.
So
even if you have all the information on this particular instance,
yes, correct. Yes, and I don't want to solve stupidity, because that's a so. And that this person apparently, and I say that I didn't know anything about it. He posted. He said he wasn't concerned about it. I kind of want to be like,
he knew he made a mistake. He's a new player.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I do it. Hey, listen, I do it too. There was a jewel I listed, and someone whispered me immediately, and I said to them, did I underprice this? And then I'm like, whatever, I've got enough currency, and I let it go. So
I've done that multiple times this league.
Yeah, it's just whatever. So I think everyone does it, and that's totally fine. But I'm just like, what are your thoughts on things they could do to sort of alleviate some of this, even if it's not real, like, even if our concerns are sort of fake or not grounded in any reality? What are something they could do to alleviate these concerns? Because people are like going nuts about it a little bit, I would have said.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think it's something that we're just imagining. Right? The trade issues are not something we're imagining. I think we should just have that be clear. What could they do? A lot of suggestions have been around. Adding some sort of auction house-esque system, which is something I am hesitant to endorse.
Okay.
I think, from my stance, I would say having more of there should be, just like in the game, there should be an opportunity cost to everything you do. If you list something, there should maybe be a max amount of things you could list, or
sure,
a timeout of some sort. If you repost something X amount of times, it increases in listing cost or something. Let's say you want to repost the same item. I don't know, if it doesn't sell after 24 hours. You have to wait X amount of time before you can repost it again, or something. I think there is a more nuanced way than just making an automated auction house, to where it forces players to make decision, and it doesn't come without a cost, like keeping to repost something.
Right. Well, you know, and it's interesting to me that when you if you can it's tough to do it, of course, dispassionately look at things. I think that most of my bad interactions with people, I'd say, you know, a huge majority, overwhelming majority, is in the 2 chaos and under interactions.
Yes.
I'm trying to buy up Screaming Essence of Fear, which is what I was doing last league, or, you know, X of the Y. And then my positive interactions are generally 5 chaos and above, because we both have something the other wants, you know, so there's a real, because that old trade, before PoE Trade really was the only thing to do, I feel like the community was smaller, so that's always going to be easier to do things when it's smaller. But most of the time people were selling, like, their 1 chaos, 2 chaos items were not stuff that people sold. Now maybe there was 1 or 2 people doing that, and they were making a boatload of money, and because I was not as advanced, so someone out there was making a killing. But I think that for the most part, the 5, 10, 1x, 2x items that were being sold, people had good interactions, because
Yeah.
right? They want this good item. Well, also back then with no masters, you had to get stuff to level, and then
Mm-hmm.
mods on gear were tougher to get. If you didn't get something that could sustain you to merciless, you're gonna have a problem. And so I think that if they did a currency auction house, just currency, I actually think
Just
that
currency. Yeah.
just currency, I actually think that for me solves all of my problems because okay, guess what? The currency exchanging a medium of currency virtually does nothing for me, except for I don't have to deal with because we all know in our head this 10 chaos is really 15, 20 scours. But the fact I don't
Yeah.
have the scour because I have to message 25 people who are all AFK or whatever, that to me is annoying. Now,
Doesn't
when I want to, yeah,
doesn't Eve in terms of now we're talking like exchange setting up exchanges and a currency doesn't isn't it Eve Online that has some sort of system with
right.
like currency
What
exchanges?
I think so. I've never played it, only what I've read. I think it's like ISK or something is the in-game currency, and I know that you can trade for it, and then you can sell that for game time. They went that route.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They and
They
they
have the game time and stuff.
the game time, but see that it's interesting because I know World of Warcraft has changed to that, but it's
Yes.
really funny how as I recall from the article I read talking about it, they brought in a real Nobel Prize winning economist to the Eve Online. I forget the name of the
Okay.
company to like help them set up stuff.
Okay.
Somebody like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
it wasn't a Nobel Prize, but some big deal, and help model this stuff. And it clearly has worked because people rave about it. And,
Yeah, exactly. Like I've heard through the grapevine, which is why I was kind of saying it. They have something that works that is not the traditional. Well, I say traditional, but it's to say that World of Warcraft and Diablo 3 is a traditional auction house. It's not really.
No, it's not. So, yeah, and so I think we'll just have to see kind of what GGG does.
Yeah.
I feel like they've been getting away with it a little bit, if I
Yeah,
can put
I
it
would agree.
like that. And yeah, and the thing, even though I would be massively opposed to it, if they were like, okay, you know what, we're just done with trading, and so everyone's playing solo self-found. It might, I don't know if it would make me quit, but it would make me play less probably. So I don't think they would do that, but to me, that's still a solution. Sometimes I feel like even a bad solution is a solution.
I
right
don't
now
see that as a solution. I don't.
No, well, okay, wait a
Everything
minute.
solo self-found?
No. But you have to understand what I'm saying. That's for you. It's a bad solution. For me, it's a bad solution. Maybe for 99% of the community, it's a bad solution. But it's still a solution. What is the solution that they've done now? They've let people list stuff. In fact, I actually think it's caused more problems than it's helped with the public API.
Oh, the
because
public
now you
API?
just list everything. You just
Yeah.
list everything. Just bloop, just throw it in. I mean, I do it too, but
Yeah. You see, this is where the opportunity cost comes. If you waste,
right, there's no cost.
right? There's no cost to it, so you just keep pummeling in.
Right. So anyway, I hope that that's something that they are going to do. I guess we didn't talk about it, but the Chinese
realm, or
is it a Chinese realm? I'm not sure exactly. It's Tencent. So it's not Taiwan. They already have a Taiwan. I mean, you have to forgive me. I haven't played it.
I don't actually know. I haven't really looked into the whole Asian market they have going.
Okay, so but anyway, what we've heard, right, is that there is some sort of automated trading thing going on.
I've heard about that.
Okay, so there was a guy who posted. His English was pretty good, but I feel like I want some of the nuances could be important. But I don't know if anyone at GGG has explained what's going on, which I feel like would be helpful if these are things they're testing out in other realms. But okay, so we'll see at the end of this league what ends up happening, because I think that help for new players, I think, is pretty important. And I have people asking me, I'm sure you do too, have asking for price checks and stuff like that all the time.
Well, that will always occur, even
that's absolutely. But I'm just saying, I would say half or even more of people's trades is currency exchange and essences. And if that was like okay, so it's literally all I have to focus on is this item worth something. and then that's easy.
I would
That's an
say
easy
a lot what could help is having more information in the in-game client, because everything is like one step removed in PoE when it comes to
Right.
trading. I think that's a huge issue, that you have to go to a separate site, you have to use a separate tool. Everything is disjointed. Nothing is really connected. You come into the game, first you have to purchase the tab, then you don't really know what to do with it. Then you put something in there, people whisper you don't know why, and you figure out it's because there's a site for it and you've never been like informed of the site. It's just kind of like everything being so disjointed is I can't see it being a pleasant experience for the new player coming in, at least. And I don't, even for the experienced player like ours, like as we are, I feel like there is too much of a disconnect between every single step.
Right. Although I do want to say, I agree with what you're saying,
Okay.
but it always makes me nervous because I think that there must be, for something to be enjoyable, there must be a threshold you have to cross. There must be,
Yes.
okay, if somebody plays for 5 hours, can't kill Brutus, and is like, what's going on with the skill tree, and just is like, I can't deal with it. I'm sorry, I don't, well, it's easy enough for me to say because my livelihood doesn't depend on the game, although maybe a little bit of it does. It's easy enough for me to say, well, then that person's in the wrong game. You know what I mean? They should be playing something else. I don't think, like, I don't play Overwatch.
I don't. Okay, so on that, it's what I'm suggesting is not necessarily that you remove all the steps in between,
right?
But it's consolidating them and making the how you make this one step to the other. Let's say that you had PoE trade as an in-game window.
Okay.
Right? And information is linked within the game. You still have to open up, you still have to search, and there's all these different steps you still take to acquire said item. But it's not in 3 different spaces.
Right.
Right? Right now we also have just PoE.trade is, but there isn't. Is there any kind of link between the site and the game itself if you don't know it?
Yeah, and that's sort of an interesting, maybe that's almost like a meta discussion about gaming. Do they expect people to go to Reddit and then see PoE trade mentioned somewhere, or is it? Let me look here on the side of the hotbar. Yeah, I mean, even looking at this, I can't believe. Well, I don't manage the Reddit. I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm looking here. Useful links. Oh, it's the top of PoE tools, PoE trade at the very, but you have to go past all the useful links. Like, to me, this should be the number one link. Anyway, that's whatever. But you're right, because it's the same thing. Imagine if they had the again, I'm going to throw out API as like a magical word because I don't really totally understand it. But let's just say they were polling or pulling data where when you find an item, let's say it's unique or it's something, and there's an option that a little box pops up and goes hit Control J or whatever, and then it'll say the last 3 of these have sold for this, or the last 3 posted at this price, and then you can find out more at PoEtrade.com. PoE.trade. And I mean, maybe they don't want to promote a website that they don't own. But I mean,
I think one thing I would say
sales at this point,
before you add something like that into the game,
right?
It's cool and all, and we do it through what's AHK? What's that thing called? The auto hotkey.
Auto hotkey.
Yeah.
Right. Same. This is what I'm talking about. Is auto hotkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think that there is an issue with that because it kills immersion. Instead of the game being about the drop, I think you would have to go to so enable for you to get this information, there should be a person in town, and you can put an item in there and he will give you the listing or whatever. Having the listing as you find it in the world seems odd to me.
Right. Okay.
Because then the game is more of an auction house simulator where you go out and you find the next item to list. That doesn't really make any sense. There should be some kind of like LoRa interaction with the world to where this actually is a thing.
though I've talked to this before, but it's like a bazaar. You have a bazaar. I mean,
Yeah.
they have that map in the game where you can go and like something's going on. And I think that there's a real merit to something there. And I personally, I really like the idea of, I mean, I guess it would be annoying if they did it like this because you would have two sets of listings. But I mean, what if it was like, okay, you could sell 5 items through our thing, where it's in game and people can come to your hideout, talk to your master, and deposit the exact amount. And see, this is the other thing. If there was a currency auction house, then when somebody wants 1,000 chromes for their stupid item,
yeah, for
you can then
something.
get that.
Yes.
You can then put that in the master and whatever. Now, again, I agree. See, the thing is, I do agree with them that perhaps this would spiral out of control and it would ruin the game. Because I know from my perspective, I'm not somebody who cares about handouts. Now, I don't, because most of the time they hand out, no one can hand me anything because I have the best stuff. I've been playing the most. No one can upgrade me. If they have an upgrade for me, they want me to pay for it. But like 6, 7, 8 weeks into the league, when people are done, and I'm like, hey, how do I blow 30x doing the dumbest thing possible? Well, if somebody wants to give me 25x for me to just start YOLO exalting all the time, because I think that to me is like the most fun, I will do that. That said, for the first time ever last league, I made 4 characters in Breach, because Breach is the best league since Beyond that I've played. And the 4th character, I had every piece of gear basically hit it to me when somebody was quitting. And why would I search for something that's an upgrade for my Essence Drain character? Right, I already own the item. I had everything. Well, that sort of killed the character for me. I mean, beyond the fact that the character was beyond stupid overpowered. That was part of the problem too, because it was like I wasn't playing a game, because I had the Temp Chains helm that I got myself, plus the insane Temp Chains, right? Plus the AoE nerf,
that's
so. Granted, no, I'm just saying. So I see, even for someone like me, where I don't think that affects me, I still was affected. So it changed my mind a little bit about the auction house. But again, that's what I come back to. Most of the problems are really in the low value trades, which no one really cares about. And also the price fixing and all this other stuff, I think really affects, for the most part, just the low level stuff. Right, where there's a lot of volume and they can sort of
low to mid tier stuff.
Low to mid tier. Right.
I will say though, there are some very ambitious price fixers who will, even the high tier, say 60 to 100 plus chaos, will list at 1 chaos. It seems really stupid, but if they win once, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Because they have just listed 5 items. It takes them 2 minutes to do so, and it's done. You just get it one time. They might have 50 tabs, and they price fix every. They have like their price fixing like a huge range of items, and they're just waiting.
Right.
£2.
Right. £2 exactly. Well, so then sort of talking on that same subject about acquiring stuff. And we sort of mentioned that we might talk about this. I really wanted to talk about how with coming, legacy boxes, legacy league, all this stuff, they have the legacy MTX. And so I know that we kind of are a little different in how we do MTX, right? Because I get the packs and MTX, but then you do selective MTX. I don't even really.
I do MTX when I have points left over from a pack. That's when I do it, and I haven't bought a pack in a long time.
Okay. So then I'm wondering if, I feel like it's run scary ground a little bit, I trust GGG. It's the same thing when people were. The PT crowd was right that the public API tabs was pay to win. Like, okay. I mean, give me a break a little bit. But on that same thing, if they say a pilgrim hat is exclusive to this Thanksgiving, and then it comes out again, well, all right. But I mean, now, okay, they've recolored some things, so I think it's the same concept like the foil. I get nervous because as someone who's played Magic the Gathering from the moment it launched, I do feel I have a physical thing in my hand, right? There's no
you purchase for money. I think that's actually an important part here, is that foils in the game versus MTXs are two different concepts. One is money, one is in-game currency.
Correct. Exactly. So that I for the foil thing I really like, and if people are upset about that, well, okay, we can, and they might be someone who is not upset about the MTX. Of course, I would say probably because you didn't buy it back then or you weren't playing the game back then. But I think that there's the foil thing's noted and it looks different and all this other stuff. And then the MTX, as long as it was markedly different and or distinguishable, I think that that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing that makes me nervous. And I feel like that's dangerous ground because again, I don't know that this legacy stuff has really gotten even close to
so you're saying that they're making reskins that are too close to the original?
Well, I'm just saying it seems like whereas before I never would have thought anything like that would happen. We are now, you know, where the
could you give me the example of where it is you have seen this? Because I haven't done a lot of MTX trading or buying, okay. So I
buying, yeah. I will say I bought the orange tabby cat, and I have the black cat. I don't think the black cat wasn't exclusive, right? But I think to me that's the concept of there was a pilgrim hat that people really wanted. I know I have both of them from, it was 2013 or 14 or something, and I think that. And that's what I don't remember whether that did come back. I don't think it came back, but people are clamoring for that all the time. And I think now that we've seen that they will repurpose and recolor, I would be surprised to see the Pilgrim hat come back a different color. And like that to me, all I'm saying is that's sort of abutting the line that makes me nervous because the game is fundamentally on some level about ethical trend, MTX, we want people to buy that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So.
It's also important that you can trust what they say in that the word. Like, I feel in their, I think that GG as a company definitely have earned a reputation of have very very high standards, and everything is like ethical. Like it's this entire meme right now, but everything is done in like an ethical manner in terms of like, well, I don't know what words.
We can't say the word anymore, right?
But
sorry.
Yeah, but I think they could have taken. It's something they can take pride in up until now, at least. And if they then start to breaking that, well, I think that is definitely an issue.
Yeah, and I don't think they will, and I don't think that they have.
No.
No. I mean, of course, no one's perfect, right? Take it from me. Nobody's perfect. So there have been times when they've done something that community's been like the Razor footprints, and they said, okay, well, we're never doing that again.
Yeah.
And so, okay, because I do think sometimes people don't view things in the lens of when it happened. When it happened, there was only like 7 MTX out, or whatever. So when fully 5% of your MTX is some awful company-inspired, out of place thing, that's people are rightfully nervous.
Yeah.
Now, if they did one thing like that, you'd be like, why are they even doing this? We have 50,000, it's all this other MTX.
Yeah.
So I just, so I think they've earned it, like you're saying, for sure. And it's just,
I think they've put a a huge variety of MTXs out there, haven't they?
Yes. Well, I wonder. I'm very excited to see what ends up happening in this market because people have to be paying attention to PoE. And if you're not doing what PoE, if you're not taking the best parts of what PoE is doing, then you're a fool. So I don't know what Blizzard's doing, but I guess Umbra is another ARPG, right? Whatever, or Wolchen, I forget the name.
Ooh.
Ziggy's played it.
Okay, I haven't
year
checked it out.
I haven't checked it out either, but so it's coming out. I'm curious to see if they are going to do. To me, that'll be the real barometer.
Whether or not they're going to do the same style as GG or
some sort of MTX or some sort of something like, because it seems like people really even if I spend $100 a year on PoE, so basically it's like I'm buying the game and expansion for a different 15 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still spending the same amount, but I feel better about it because I get this MTX and I'm contributing to the game and all this stuff. So that's why I bring up the MTX thing, because I think that can also turn
Yes,
very
and it
quickly.
turns really quickly.
Yes. Well, also everyone's outrage. I mean, far be it from me to criticize someone for raging about something, but uh, I do know that I was upset a little bit about the tab thing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not a traditional MTX. I get that, but the addition of these new tabs.
Yeah.
Well, I have 100 premium tabs. And why did I have 100 premium tabs? Because you can only stack alts
Yeah, it's
20.
true. Yeah,
So now I can stack 5,000 and thing
yeah.
there's 6 tabs that you could just do away with 6 tabs of mine.
Yes.
And then they said they couldn't do that, and I understand technical limitations, but like that I just bought my first quad tab. I finally gave in, it was on sale.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not going to buy an essence tab. I'm not going to buy a divination tab.
I have all those, and
Okay.
I definitely see that all my older, because I had 50 premium tabs, and
Okay.
I use maybe 20 now total. Where in the
Exactly.
past I would use 30 to 40 plus.
Exactly. Same to almost, I think almost to a T. That's the same. And I mean, maybe I used some unpremium tabs. I have 15 non-premium tabs that I would use for like Regal storage, chaos storage, which I do more than other people do. Although this league I've been doing less because we're going fast. And so yeah, so I mean, even then I think numbers are about the same. And so that, it's a tough pill to swallow. I'm sure it was just they did the math. I mean, how many people were playing back when there was nothing but tabs to buy? So I bought 150 tabs. Okay, and then they were like, "Oh, you can convert all of these to premium tabs." Okay, so it's not like you got 150 premium. You converted your 150 down to 60 premiums or whatever the math worked out to be. So I thought they would do for something. I didn't think the essence or
that they would kind of like stay in line with their previous
right. Right.
way of handling, introducing new features that would then make your old purchases invalid, basically, or
right. So for me, the quad tab is actually the only problem. The divination essence tab, that's fine. That's a different thing. I'm not going to use it, but people want it. That's totally fine. The quad tab though is just a repurposed premium tab. So the fact that I have 25 premium tabs hanging out doing nothing. Anyway, I don't want to go nuts about it, but I think that I'm hoping that 3.0 brings some of these things. There's like a list of like 5 things that I feel like are simple, and I really wish we could like as a community rally to get them. One is can we copy our tab names and order from previous leagues? At least for me, I find that so
having a template or something.
I mean, if we have a filter,
or maybe. Just having the hardcore, whatever equivalent in the hardcore would then match over to the new one every time.
Fine. Yeah, something. And anything. Because to me it's busy work, and I'm like, oh God, what did I name this tab? And I have to find it and all this stuff. I don't know if you noticed, they didn't say anything about it, and I think this is a huge change. You can now move tabs faster than you ever could before.
Really?
At least
it took like forever. I remember if you had to move 150 tabs, it took forever.
So I think now if you're moving it and you do the scroll wheel, because the scroll wheel speeds it up, I think they upped the limiter. They upped the limiter on that by like double or triple. So so we're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. Another thing I wish they would do is
nice.
I wish we could have a reverse tab.
Reverse tab?
So like my maps, when I look at a map tab, I wish it started stacking at the bottom right. If you follow what I'm saying, right now it goes top left, like you're reading in English. I want it to go to the bottom right, because when I'm going between 2 windows that are open, left and right on your screen, the shortest distance is the left of my stash, personal inventory, to the right of the tab that's open.
Oh, so you want to be able to like mirror them into, or?
Well, I'm just saying I want the distance, the shortest distance, so that for me the important, like at least how I've always done it. Before currency tabs, all of my important stuff was on the right, lower right, the bottom right, or right side.
Yeah, I do the same.
Okay, so to me, if we could flop, I mean, maybe that's impossible to code and blah blah blah. But anyway, so I hope that the 3.0 brings some of these things, and it's on the same hand, it's making me nervous because clearly they have the technology now to repurpose MTX and redo all this stuff. And so I think we're going to see positives from it. And then there's also, I hope we don't skirt into the people get super mad about it. So anyway, well, I think that's it. I don't know if there was anything else we wanted to say about Legacy off the top of my head.
Well, it was definitely. I don't know. No, I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the league stays active for a while. I've been having fun. Oh yeah, what have you been buying league stones? That's one other thing I've been meaning to ask you.
No, I actually haven't. I probably will once I start getting. I think it's going to be very common for people to trade league stones in between.
Right.
That's another thing that should be easy to do, like the whole, because that functions kind of the same as a currency, doesn't it?
Right.
It's like, okay, how do you list them and how do you buy them, and then you have like 1 million, and then
oh my god, yeah. No, exactly. If that was, and the same, interestingly enough, the one tab I would buy is a map tab, but apparently a map tab, they can't do that because of roles and stuff. So I would say, can we have a map tab where it's just white maps then? So if it's a white map, you can put it in the tab. If it's rolled in any way, you have to put it in another tab. I would be fine with that. That would let me
so you can stack them or whatever.
Just stack them, yeah. Because I mean, right now I've got
that would actually be really nice. I could see that, especially with players. I've been selling a lot of maps this league. On that note, and I have to go in and search every time, and I think I have a quad tab full of maps. I have to go in and search every time, and having it so that I can just control click the grotto. Oh, you want a grotto? Oh, you want an acid lake? Yay! And you just click. Oh, you have all the maps. Here you go.
Right.
That would be nice.
Well, this is the danger, right? So they show us they can do something, and it's the same thing. It's unfortunate that this is how humans work, and even if we know this, well, desync's gone now. So when desync happens, I go, whoa, what in the hell is happening? I mean, it happens so rarely, once every month or something. But so I mean, now that we've seen that you can do this tabs of crazy things, I go, well, why is my map tab cluttered? And because
now we just want more, obviously.
Right. We just want more. We'll solve all the problems then.
Yeah.
Please, because
I do think that they're listening, and
I think so.
With all these things that they're introducing, it gives players ideas that they start they voice all the ideas they have, and it starts feeding into the stream of information that goes their way, and there's a growing interest in this particular product. Okay, let's introduce that. So I think we might say, well, you have the technology, but it takes a while for the information to flow that direct. We hadn't come up with the idea of a map tab prior to this. So we have to come up with the idea. GD has to catch on to that, and then they have to develop it, and then they have to be put in place. And so that could take like an entire league before it happens, because they have their own like production cycle of creating content and all this. And now they have to fit this extra thing in.
Sure.
So it's kind of, I think that we're probably going to see a lot more of this kind of thing. I would assume, at least.
And we're running long, but speaking of that, I want to say, I really hope that, and this is going to be, talk about pipe dream a little bit, but I really hope that both things occur. One, we have a long enough beta so that there are so minimal. This league, I thought there were basically minimal problems with Legacy launch, and there was 112,000 people playing.
Yeah.
I think that's so key for the 3.0 launch, right? If people are freaking out about all this stuff, I think that's great. But I also then really got to say, I really hope that there's not a 3 or 4 month beta like there was for 2.0. I mean, I guess there might be, but I feel like that.
I think they've stepped up their game a bit in terms of hitting release dates.
Okay. That
I know. I feel your concern, but at least for now, I'm pretty positive that we're not going to see something that extreme.
Because I think for me, at least, I felt Well, I've always felt an obligation to try to help and test and all this stuff. That's why I'm on the alpha, or was. And then because this will not be on alpha, this thing that's coming up. But but then it was like playing a league, and then the next league was the same thing. Because they didn't want to, right? Because
dragging. Okay, yeah.
Because the league that comes out when 3.0 launches will not be like Legacy. It will be the opposite of Legacy in some sense.
Oh yeah, I think Legacy in essence is have a lot of shiny things and have fun with them, while you wait for all the new interesting stuff we're developing for you. Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if beta's say 2 months, and then there's going to be a 3-month league, and it'll be a minor league because I want you to focus on the new content, which I think is very appropriate. It can be, it's obviously it's like we're talking about.
Yeah, I think this is something we're going to be talking about in length soon enough. Yeah, in the future, with more announcements about beta and everything.
Right. Okay, well, good. I guess that's a nice. Well, more to follow.
More to follow
once GGG announces it. And so I just want to sort of book in here. I want to just say, we do have a website for this. It's the coffeetalkpodcast.com. It does not look like a PlayStation gaming website from the automated theme that I put up. The website is slowly evolving to look less amateur hour, although it's still sort of amateur. But you can go there. You can listen to the podcast. You can download it. We are on iTunes. And this will be up on YouTube, on Nugi's YouTube, if you want to tell them where to find it.
On youtube.com/nugiyen. And you can find more about Moors where?
At YouTube/MoorsSexy, or you can find me at Twitch TV/MoorsRageNG. And then obviously everyone's here knows your channel. I think that should be obvious. Well, thank you very much, Jake. It was good. This was good.
It was a good talk.
I was going to say, so what, to sort of end, do you think you'll be 100 by the next time we have a podcast?
I hope so.
Okay. That's the challenge. All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm pushing for 100 too for the first time ever. So I'm excited.
Exciting.
We'll see. Well, it's exciting. So that's it.